Welcome to the Principal Podcast, where we talk about how the best professional services firms grow. Whether you're looking to scale your firm or learn from the stories of founders and leaders who've done it, you're in the right place. Join us as we interview the best leaders in professional services. Let's get on with the show.
This afternoon, we have the privilege to talk to Mike Lewis, the head of consulting at Spherica Consulting in the UK. He helps organizations remove friction across people, processes, and systems to improve operational performance and customer experience. That's a lot, Mike. And if you can get all that done, God bless you. So I want to find out a little bit about your journey, Mike, and how you got involved in this type of consulting and what you guys specialize in. So let's start off with your journey. How did you get involved in this consulting expertise level?
Well, thanks for having me on. I've probably been a consultant actually for about 17 years now. By 2008, I moved into a consulting organization that was Dell Computers. I had that, I kind of was thrust into being a consultant but I found that I'd probably been a consultant for the previous 8 or 9 years in other jobs. So I used to work for a big computer corporation that were migrating from hardware sales into more software sales. And the team I was running at the time, I said to the sales team, I said, if you guys think that you're going to be able to sell software the way you sell hardware, if you're going to, as it was at the time, if you don't, for $250,000 for 2 CDs and a manual, they're going to show you the door. I said, better find out what's going on in that organization and find out what value the software we produce is going to add. So that's kind of like the start of my consult culture, if you like. But then it was a few years later that I actually joined and actually became a consultant myself.
So you made an astute observation about reality for those people. And when they finally said, okay, maybe Mike's got a point here, then you started to see that this could be a possibility for you.
Indeed.
So tell me a bit about, when you look at the companies that you work with, what are the problems that you solve for them and why is that important to you?
Well, most of the companies, and there are some differences across a variety of sectors in terms of language they use, but most organizations, I think, have process issues internally. They've either not been defined properly. You have people who are, let's say you have hired somebody who's a customer services agent. So you have customer service agent that should be dealing with customers for the majority of their day, possibly 90% of their day dealing with customers. If they're having to work in the background, if they're having to work around problems, connect data together, connect systems together, that takes the time away from facing the customer. So, and it also drains on the human as well. So the bit that really I'm really passionate about is what we need to do is we need to unburden our people in these organizations to free them up so they can think and deliver better for whoever your customer is.
Okay, so you're right, because customer service, if it's doing operational task that could have been done by somebody else and versus interface with the client to actually listen to the client, provide that customer service, defeats the whole purpose. So you go in and analyze within the organization where there are roadblocks or hurdles to providing better customer service. Am I correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's getting really in with the people on the ground. So, we usually sell at the C-suite level, but it's actually getting, watching people work and how they work and getting them to tell us where the problems surface for them. And then trying to take that pain away. That's the most important thing. We've got, not even with AI, we've got lots of tools that have got a lot more of history than AI at the moment, but automation tools, robotic process automation, all sorts of things that can be automated now. And we've got ways of connecting systems together. So you get like one single view of your customer rather than having to, go to one website, go to one product, go to another application to actually find all the data. We can actually connect them all together and put them into so you get one dashboard view of what's going on in the organization. So it's a lot of stuff like that, really, to kind of get into the detail. But you always get the truth when you go to the ground level and find the people that you talk to the customers day to day.
How true is that? I mean, because at the C-suite, they have a vision, and at their execution level, they have reality. And so you've got to make sure you can blend the two so they're in harmony. So tell me a bit about, Mike, who is your ICP, your ideal client profile? What is it you look for a customer to go after them to do business with you?
Well, so we have we market to sectors, so we market to different sectors for sort of individual problems, but it's mostly that we understand that all organizations have friction, whether the C-suite sees it or not. They might see some friction where, they're not making enough sales, or they're not getting enough income, or they get the customer satisfaction might be down a few points than it needs to be. They see that at a surface level, but what they don't see is actually that's the tip of the iceberg. They don't see the iceberg underneath the water itself, where all of these little inefficiencies, somebody's bought a system, it's not been implemented properly, it's not been integrated properly. People don't gather requirements together to actually kind of, build a proper plan on how to bring in a system into the organization, how to actually make sure that it's adopted, and how to make sure that when that whole period is finished, that they've actually got a solution that meets their needs. So people have bought, technology and systems and applications very badly over the years. We've got a customer relationship management system. It's old. We should probably replace it. But they don't go through actually what do we use it for, and how does it benefit us, and where does it deliver value to the organization first, and will it help us with delivering service to our customers? So don't just replace it. Step back. Think about what you're actually doing, analyze where the problems lie, and then get a solution that exactly fits your needs.
Well, with that being said, I mean, and all that is so spot on, but I wanted to ask, is it a client that's maybe 50 to 100 or 200 employees? Is it a revenue size that you look at as potential customers for what you provide?
Oh, from that kind of profile perspective, yeah, it's usually over $10 million revenue businesses. So we find that they've got enough in their organization in terms of people, processes, and technology that there will be some friction inside of that organization that's worth fixing. Yep. But
Okay. And but no set number of employees. It's just a revenue opportunity, and they're generating that. Okay.
we work with some small organizations that might only have sort of 10 or 15 permanent staff, but they still have the systems that they need. They still need to do content management, they still need to market, they still need to manage income through finance systems, etc. So there'll be at a level of complexity, even though with a small number of people, that they'll need some sort of support with managing through this process. Yeah.
So you guys have got to be familiar with a whole variety of CRM systems, I would imagine. Otherwise, it'd be tough to go in there and give advice and guidance. But when you think about how do people hear about Spherica, what's your marketing plan currently? Is it referrals? Because those are always the best. Satisfied customers who tell other people, hey, these guys do a great job. Is it an email campaign to target these 10 million plus revenue clients? Is it social media? What methods are best for you to get your name in front of potential clients?
Yeah, the bit that I really like about marketing today is the social media marketing, because social media marketing allows you, like, with this podcast, to get a conversation out there into the marketplace, and people can understand you, what your mission is, and decide whether they like you or not, because it's all on that scale of know, like, and trust. Yeah. You need to trust the individual, trust the organization in order to part with money to be able to buy a product or services from them. So I'm big into this know, like, and trust, and actually social marketing. So, I share articles regularly on problems that I've seen inside the customers. I share, on video, go on podcast, do all that kind of stuff to get my kind of messaging out there into the market and show how we understand friction and how we can help organizations moving forward. So, I think the days of cold calling are done. I think people want to do much on social proof on social media platforms like LinkedIn and others to actually just see the inner workings really of what's going on in the organization. And in the world of consulting, it's all about the people anyway. So I have my immediate team, all have newsletters and are sharing information on a regular basis. So people can see the types of things that we're working on, the types of problems they'll be fixing. They can identify all those problems and then they reach out that way. But we do other things like referrals as well. We've all got a little bad book. We all have a little network that we can go to for people who do that. So, but we're trying to grow the network with the social presence.
Wonderful. So you find LinkedIn does a pretty good job for you from a business point of view, getting people to look at you.
It does, yeah. I think the LinkedIn platform has changed significantly over the years. I think it was a job site, it was a way of putting your CV out into the market. but now we've got more sort of video content and article content, etc. There's a lot of knowledge can be shared across that platform, and it's a good professional networking tool as well. So yeah, I think that LinkedIn is really good for that kind of stuff.
I totally agree. I'm pretty active on it, and I'm going to make sure I look up you guys when we're done here. But it's a huge opportunity to get your name in front of business-related customers, and I think that's smart you're using it. Now, you mentioned podcasts. Have you done podcasts like this, what we're doing with other people, and have you thought about your own podcast to get your message out to scale what you're doing more efficiently?
Yeah, indeed. That's something that's on my marketing plan at the moment. So I've been working with an external marketer for about 14 months now, and we've just started going into this program of social marketing and moving because the business used to be a traditional marketed business. There's a website that tells you all the information, and it's all very complicated. And we're kind of now moving into this social space. So we've started with the articles, we started with sharing video on my and other channels, and now we're just looking into the podcast space now. So yeah, we are interested in pursuing that in the immediate future, our own podcast. But I'm very happy to talk to you and anybody else that would be interested in talking to me on their podcast as well.
Sure. Well, that's wonderful. That's what this is all about, getting your way out to the public and to your customer base. I think you're doing the right thing. So let's talk about for a moment, you deal with people and their inner workings, from decision influencers who may be your first point of contact to the eventual decision makers up in the C-suite. What's your normal selling cycle, Mike, from point of contact to somebody who's expressed interest to work with you to fruition, entering into an agreement, a statement of work, or a contract? What's that time frame look like?
So I'm following a model as well that was that Daniel Priestley came up with about sort of, there's multiple tiers of marketing. So we're giving away stuff for the gift category, but we're also doing the products for prospects. So we actually have entry level services that don't cost a lot of money, that where you can get a good outcome for a certain focused area inside of the organizations that we work with, but it's not a high ticket price. And then once they've met the people, understand the ways of working and the value that we can add, then we scale from there. So with those kind of entry level services, it might only take a matter of weeks. It might be something like, for 6 weeks to actually get to the stage where we can actually start working with some of our clients, which is really good. But, there's a slightly longer life cycle when you're talking about services for an 18-month change program that needs to have a technical response to it. And there's a selection process in that as well. And those can take a number of months to do that as well. So, but we try to do something very quickly with a new client at a small scale and complexity, so we can actually get the two companies working together, really get the people working together, and then they'll open up more then about more challenges that they have inside the organization, and we can help them work on those as well. But I would rather than doing a multi-million pound multi-year transformation program, I would rather do small packages of work with customers, have a beginning, a middle, and an end in a relatively short period of time, so we can realize the benefits to the customer sooner. That's the most important thing for me, is that we're looking for, have we given them value, the money they've is can they then get that back quite quickly with the improvements that we've made. So I prefer small packages of work in chunks rather than one large package of work that takes multiple years to deliver.
It makes sense, because what you're doing is, if you went to a nice restaurant in your area, you go in there and you're looking at the full menu and you go, okay, hey, I'll have this wonderful hors d'oeuvre and see how things are. So that's your hors d'oeuvre portion, your initial short period. But then if they like it, hey, they'll go, okay, I'm going to look at the entree now, and that's the full long package. So it's a smart approach. I like it a lot. And also, it's a proof source. When you come in there and you do that short period of time and it works well and they see potential positive results, that's the best proof they can see is why they should go forward. There's nothing as powerful as actual delivery of what you're going to say. Even if it's a taste, it's not the full thing. I like that strategy. Let's talk about retention. So I get a customer, they work with me. How do they measure the metrics that I've done what I would say I would do to help them improve? Is there metric analysis that you have so that they stay with you versus they go, there was no tangible results, so we're probably not going to go any further?
Yeah, indeed. So we have a system where when we're in the sales cycle, we're looking for value right up front. So we're looking about, we almost won't engage with a client unless we can understand the value of fixing the problems that they have.
Okay.
We go into that in some detail to say, what do you think's happening? Where do you think the friction is? You know, do you think that's impacting the team 20%, 30%, 40% of their time?
Okay.
And what does that look like in reality? What's the average salary of that individual? If we give them back 40% of their time, what does that look like in terms of the benefit to your field?
So it's a measurable number there.
Yeah, so we look at that at a measurable level, and then when we're actually working with a client and doing paid work, we're doing that analysis all the time. We're rebuilding that business case to refine it because there was a salary estimate and a people number of people estimate, so we refine that down to say you don't have 250 employees, you have 236, and they're not earning £40,000 a year, they're earning 38 and a half or whatever. So we actually refine that down to get a more realistic number when we're in the case, but that kind of works in our favor really, because it actually then gives somebody some real numbers. And when somebody like CFO or the finance director is checking that, they can go, where did you get that number from? And we just say we did X, Y, and Z, and they could go, yeah, I agree with that and I approve that, and tick that off. So that's a very important part of the process, is making sure you're engaging with the full stack to get any numbers that you're producing approved during the engagement. So when you show the results at the end, they're believable because they've been audited.
Right. At that point, they're irrefutable. They're fact. They're not fiction, and they're not theory. It's more or less reality.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's one way to retain your client. So let's talk about when you look in your space, and there's probably competition, and there's other factors that come into someone deciding to use you or to go alternative routes. What's your biggest challenge in your business growth that you see today going forward?
The biggest challenge is that often people think that some of these idiosyncrasies and challenges inside of organizations are computer system problems. There's some sort of application there that's or some sort of systems in place, and they think that that's where the problems are and that's where the friction is. People aren't using the system to the in the right way, or people don't understand that they've got 3 or 4 times the same system in the organization, but none of the data is connected together. They're not realizing this. They think they've got people problems and performance problems, and they're trying to get more out of the people, but they don't realize that all these background things are actually burdening them. And the other bit that I'm very, very passionate about as well is that in years gone by, and I've got a few years, I'm nearly 40 years in technology in my lifetime, I've seen IT be a department outside of the business, and now it's sort of coming inside of the business, but it's still not seen in a lot of sectors as being integral to everything that happens. So often IT decisions that the business aren't involved in that, and business decisions are made without having technology involved in it. Whereas now we're intrinsically linked, and IT is actually operational technology rather than just being information technology on the side. It's actually critical to all of the operations of this. And that realization is not there, because I think technology, you should have a technology business partner working with the business units inside the organization, asking how you can support them, how you can streamline things, helping them make the right decisions, rather than being, I think we need a CRM system. Can you host that for us and implement it? Or I need a finance system. Can you host that and implement it? It's actually that they should be involved in the conversations. So that's our biggest barrier at the moment, is getting operational people to realize that technology is so important to them that they need to include people in those conversations. So that's the biggest barrier today.
That is so real, because people don't understand. It's not just IT, I need my password changed. IT, I need this or that. It's IT, you better be able to help us integrate everything we're trying to accomplish, because you are the conductor of this orchestra. And without that being efficient, there's going to be some trouble. So I see you understand that issue, and that's probably why some people will say, hey, we really need to look at this friction and see what's causing it, what's creating it. And that's obviously a big opportunity for it, which is my final question for you. Tell me where you see the best business opportunities in the future ahead for you and Spherica.
I think AI is going to be one of the good things coming into businesses, because most organizations aren't set up the right way to adopt AI into their processes, because there's the dysfunctions where, processes don't work, systems are connected together, can't get data all into one place at one time. Artificial intelligence needs that. So I think artificial intelligence is going to be a real driver for organizations, and we can help these organizations, for organizations to look at the foundational services. Is my data clean? Is it all accessible?
Right.
Have I got, can I bring everything into one place in terms of my data stack? Can I then attach my applications and systems to that to get, which you got one version of the truth, and then you can build robust processes on top of that, which then can be automated with AI. So I think that's the good opportunity. So it's not AI itself, it's the impact AI is going to have on organizations that want to increase.
What's interesting is I've had, 50 discussions in the last month. Executives like yourself, professionals who are looking at the world and seeing how they can utilize AI as an efficient method to achieve. A lot of them see AI as more of a challenge. You see it as an opportunity. So I like that. I mean, that's one of the first people that really is and positively said AI is going to be something of value, because I think AI is a tool personally. And if you utilize the tool efficiently, it's wonderful. If you fear that it's going to be all of a sudden an end all to everything, or it's going to be the ability for you to not be thinking on the job and let them think for you, you're going to be in trouble. But if you use it as a tool to integrate and help and develop, I think it's a wonderful thing for our future. And I'm glad to hear you say that, Mike. So when you look at going forward, Mike, if people want to reach out to you or Spherica, what's the best way for them to contact you?
Either connect to me directly on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn all day, every day. So you can find me on that. Or you can go to sphericaconsulting.com, where we've got contact details and forms and that people can fill in, and we'll get back to you and do that way.
Mike, I've enjoyed our conversation today. I hope you have as well. I know it's about 3:30 in the afternoon in the UK, and hopefully you have a fabulous weekend planned ahead of you. And I know that we've really enjoyed it, and I think the audience has learned a lot more about who you are and what you do based on our conversation. I want to thank you for your time today, Mike.
Yeah, thank you as well for your time. Have a great weekend.
You as well.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Principal Podcast. We hope you've learned valuable lessons and strategies to grow your firm and take your business to the next level. Make sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you're listening to this show so you never miss an episode. To apply and be a guest on the show, click the link in the description. See you next time.